In the last lecture, we've seen how to attack spanning tree by claiming the root bridge role. In this video, I'll show you what countermeasures you can take to protect STP and your switches. If your switch supports STP, which is a protocol supported only by professional switches, it should also have some features in the operating system to protect against STP attacks. In this lab, I'll show you how to protect a Cisco Catalyst switch against STP attacks. Other vendors have similar features available. Fortunately, the countermeasures to a root takeover attack are simple and straightforward. There are two measures you can take to mitigate this attack: BPDU Guard and Root Guard. Let's see them one by one. BPDU Guard is a feature that comes with PortFast and is applicable to access layer switches. This feature allows network designers to enforce the STP domain borders. Devices behind ports with BPDU Guard enabled are unable to influence the STP topology, and this is the case when a host is running Yersinia and wants to take over the root. At the reception of a BPDU frame, so a frame that carries STP messages, BPDU Guard disables the port, which will move into error disable state, and the message is generated. BPDU Guard accompanies another feature called PortFast, which allows a port to transit directly into the forwarding state when the link is up. This feature must therefore be enabled only on ports where no switch will ever be connected, and those are access ports. Okay, let's return to the switch and enable BPDU Guard and then PortFast on the access port to which the host that runs Yersinia is connected. That's interface fast Ethernet 0/0. Conf-t, I am entering the interface configuration mode, interface fast Ethernet 0/1, spanning tree, BPDU Guard, enable. This command has enabled BPDU Guard, and I'm also enabling PortFast, so spanning tree, PortFast. The command has effect only when the interface is in a non-trunking mode. I have enabled BPDU Guard and PortFast on that interface. You can also enable BPDU Guard on all PortFast ports of the switch. So in global configuration mode, you execute spanning tree, PortFast, BPDU Guard, default. Let's reproduce the attack. I'm going to Kali Linux and I'm starting Yersinia in GUI mode, so Yersinia -G. Launch attack, STP, and claiming root role. And OK. And we notice the messages. In the console, we see how BPDU Guard has put the port in error disabled state. The port received a BPDU and that's not allowed. I am stopping the attack. Now, you can re-enable the port manually by executing shut and no shut, like this. Shut and no shut. And the port is up. Or you can execute ERR disable recovery command. In global configuration mode, I run ERR disable recovery cause BPDU Guard. And error disable recovery interval 600. These two commands will automatically enable the port after 600 seconds or 10 minutes if the port was shut down by BPDU Guard and no other BPDU frames are received on the port. The default recovery interval is 300 seconds or 5 minutes. Note that there is the possibility for an attacker to bypass BPDU Guard depending on how the switch is configured. As I've previously said, BPDU Guard relies on port fast, and when enabling port fast on a port, the switch operating system produces a warning. Let's see the warning. This is the warning. It states that port fast will only have effect when the interface is in a non-trunking mode. This means that an attacker who has the ability to enable trunk mode on the port has also the ability to disable port fast and therefore to disable BPDU Guard altogether. This is dynamic trunking protocol or DTP exploitation that can also be performed using Yersinia. And to avoid this attack, you should set the port as a static access port. By default, a switch port is in dynamic desirable mode, and that means that it will try to auto-negotiate with the other side switch's interface if they create a trunk or not and remain access ports. So, in interface configuration mode, I'll execute switch port, mode, access. I set the port as a static access port. This was all about BPDU Guard. Another security feature used to protect against STP attacks is called root guard. Root guard can be applied on distribution layer switches while applying BPDU Guard on access layer switches. Let's see what root guard does. Root guard does not prevent STP communication on the port where it is enabled, but it will only react to BPDU frames which would lead to the election of a new root bridge behind protected ports. This way, root guard enforces the position of the root bridge. A violation of the root guard policy, and that means receiving a superior BPDU on a port where root guard was enabled, results in the port being temporarily set to root inconsistent state and not forwarding any frame. The port connectivity, so the forwarding state, will be automatically re-enabled as soon as no illegal or superior BPDUs are received on the port. In our example, we want a fixed root bridge and we are going to enable root guard on all X ports. Let's see how many interfaces has the switch. IP interface brief. It has 48 fast Ethernet interfaces and 2 gigabit interfaces. I'm gonna enable root guard on all fast Ethernet interfaces. So conft interface range f0/1 minus 48 and spanning tree root guard. Sorry, it's spanning tree guard root. Okay, root guard was enabled. Before launching the attack again, I want to disable BPDU Guard on fast Ethernet 0/1. I want on the interface only root guard enabled. So now spanning tree, BPDU Guard, enable. And I am disabling BPDU Guard also globally. So now spanning tree, port fast, BPDU Guard default. Let's check the configuration of fast Ethernet 0/1 interface. Do show run. Only root guard is enabled. Let's launch the attack again. In Yersinia, I'm selecting the STP tab and claiming the root role. And we notice how root guard has blocked port fast Ethernet 0/1. Let's check the interface state with the following command. Show spanning tree, VLAN1, and we notice how the interface is in root inconsistent state. Or show spanning tree, interface F0/1, detail, root inconsistent. To disable root guard in interface configuration mode, use spanning tree, guard, none. And I've disabled root guard on that interface. Congratulations, you've just learned how to protect your switches against STP attacks.